Hey, we're back with some running tips. And with me today is Tim Ellis, my good friend. He works with Athletes in Action. And Tim, you're the director of track and field?
Yep, that's right.
Tell me a little bit about what you do with the AIA.
Wow. Well, we're headquartered up in Xenia, Ohio.
Okay.
There's the orphanage up there, an old orphanage up there. And we have that whole facility now.
Big complex.
Yeah, big complex. And as the director of track and field, I kind of oversee our ministry that uses track and field to share the gospel around the world.
Okay.
And
how many runners do you work with during a year? How many athletes are you directing here and there? And
well, right now on the 5 teams that we're taking this summer, we have over 50 athletes and coaches that are going to travel and do something with us this summer. Okay.
Now, in the course of dealing with these runners, we've had some experience. You bringing some runners in here, dealing with back pain and knee pain and some other problems. What I want to talk about today is back pain and some of the success that we've had dealing with athletes. And as we look at that, you know, I think of healing like an onion, and that there are different layers. And oftentimes, at the lowest layer of an injury, there's a joint pathology, if you will, or misalignment. So what we start with the athletes is simply restoring movement in the sacroiliac joints. And I'll show you in this model of the spine. This is the ilium, this is the sacrum, and this makes up the sacroiliac joint. I refer to it as the walking joint or the running joint. So when a runner has a problem, I usually look at this joint. Now, you and I have kind of talked in depth, and we also came up with some other things that we can do. So we want to show you at home some other simple things that you can look at and some exercises that you can do. Tim, can you lay on your back with your head right here? There you go. And this is both a test and an exercise, and it's called a glute bridge with extension. And the feet are apart, the knees are apart. First thing we're going to do is tilt the pelvis this way, and I'll lift the butt up, up, a little higher. So the shoulder, hip, and knee are in the same plane. And then I'm going to ask that Tim extend this leg straight out, and as he does that, he keeps this hip up. And I'll put this down and lower it down, and we'll reassess. We'll tilt the pelvis again, get the abdominal muscles recruited, bring the butt up, and now we'll look at the other side and down and lower it down. And let's sit up. But what we find with the athletes who are having the back problems, they can't do that. That little simple task, they can't do it. Yeah, especially Tim has worked with the local high school here in town in Lebanon with the track athletes and works with the female athletes. And a lot of these young girls are running such long mileage, but their stabilizers are off.
That's usually the symptom we get is, you know, coach, my back starts to hurt me or their hip starts hurting. And then I usually go, we got to check a bridge, and they typically don't do that well. And then they just work on that. Are there other exercises that they can work on? What ideas do you have for folks? Well, kind of the protocol we've come up with is a thing called a donkey kick, which is something they can do at home, but we have a ball. Should we show them that? Yeah, sure. So if you have a ball like this, you can just use that just on the floor. We wouldn't recommend doing that on a table like this. I have superior balance. So yeah, you just get comfortable on that, under your stomach, under your chest, and then, Tom, all you're going to do is just raise your hips up nice and slow. Just raise your whole leg. Maybe a set of 20. At least for the athletes that I'm working with, they're more endurance athletes, so we want a lot of reps. But you could probably start with 10, good round number, but if it feels good there, then you go 20 or 30. It's amazing how, you know, it looks like a real simple exercise, but when you isolate the glutes, a lot of people have a real hard time because they have weak... The glutes just aren't strong. Weak glutes, weak butt syndrome. That's it. Yeah. That's it. You mentioned something about walking backwards earlier. Yeah, what about that? That's a good one. You got a star on that. That's really something that we do. I know the cross-country team does it too. Coach Heffel has... just as a precaution and a way to just avoid injuries, he has his guys. He coaches the distance runners. I coach the ladies. And after a practice, we just walk backwards for about 100 meters or so. Well, one of the common things that you see with runners and people in general is the hip flexor, the muscle that goes from here to here. It's too tight. It's too tight. It's an injury waiting to happen, and walking backwards actually helps stretch that. And by walking backwards, you activate the glute and the hamstring first. Go ahead and sit back down over here, Tim. Hey, you got something else going on in town that I just want the folks to know about. It's a run. And I love all the events that we have going on. And this is a special run because it's right in town.
Yep.
It's called the Spring?
Called the Spring Sprint. It's a 5K race. You can race it, you can walk it, you can jog it. But all the proceeds go to the boys and girls track team up there at Lebanon High School.
Okay, and what's the date on that?
It's Saturday, March 25th.
Okay.
And it starts at the junior high.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to air in time, but if it does, catch that race, okay, because you can run or walk. And if you miss it this year, there's always next year.
Yep.
And is it always in a certain...
We typically do it the first Saturday in the spring.
Okay.
Or the official
okay.
Day that spring starts, and the first Saturday that's officially in spring.
Well, it's been fun for me getting to know you as a friend, because he's also a physical therapist. And just a wealth of knowledge. So I've always, the last 4 or 5 years we've known each other, have had you to bounce ideas off of. And it's been a joy knowing that you're coaching some of the kids locally because they have a wealth of knowledge, and I love your ministry and what you're doing there. And, it's common for people to have those back injuries. So if you are having those back injuries, use these things to manage it, and if it persists, maybe seek out a physician who can help you with that. One of the other things we discovered too is when you stride, you might feel your gait just go plop, plop. Or if you're on a treadmill, you might hear one foot plopping. And that's an indicator.
Right.
So shortening your stride. But don't just keep pushing it, because I think there's that mentality of, I'm going to push through it, I'm going to push through it. And
that doesn't work good with this injury.
You develop a faulty pattern.
Yeah, it just doesn't get better. So the whole thing with running and all that, the repetitive nature of the injury is that it's a gravity thing.
Yeah.
And so if you're not able to control gravity never has a day off.
And
so you
develop,
have to get stronger. And
you develop a faulty pattern too, so you have to give yourself time to repattern. So, when you have an injury, step back, peel down to what you need to work on, slow down on your mileage, and get some help. Okay. Is there any way people can get a hold of you if they have any questions about this stuff? Do you have a number you can be reached up there and at the headquarters in Xenia?
Yeah, sure.
Can you let our audience know about that?
Yeah, you can call me at 937-352-1260.
And hopefully you'll be doing some future camps in the area. I know you've talked about that for runners.
Yep.
Well, we look forward to that. Thank you so much for being on Fitness Focus, and great ideas. Keep running, but run sound and run right.